Hello, so this video is Black Lives Matter versus the KKK. Racial tensions spark anger in the US.
Most of the time what we do here, me, my family, we always, especially during the summertime and the springtime, we like to go fishing. Basically here we try to catch a lot of bass. You got big mouth bass, smallmouth bass, and also you got bluegill in this pond. Sometimes you can catch a catfish, but yeah, most of the time we're after bass when we fish here. It's just something to pass the time away and it's more relaxing, so that's why we try to come out here and fish and get away from, everything basically. My daddy taught us to fish, and we taught them to fish. They love fishing. We spend a lot of summer out here, most of the summer. You rarely ever see black people fishing, so I like it out here too because I ain't got to smell niggas.
August 12th was a tragic day here in Charlottesville. Many things happened. We have a memorial for Heather, who passed away tragically because of hatred here in our community. Many people got together to try to show that we needed a change here in the city. Car ran into a human because they had hatred for another race. That is not fair, that is not just, that is inhumane. To take life because you feel different. The street is now named Heather Heyer Way. Tragic, tragic day in Charlottesville history.
You having any luck? The wind's blowing, and plus it just got done snowing 2 days ago. I don't think we're gonna catch much fish today. When it's windy, it ain't a good time to fish when it's real windy like it is. So we'll probably just go out and get some pizza or something. In about 2 weeks, we'll be back and we'll catch a ton of fish because it'll be a lot warmer and the wind will calm down because April will finally be here.
Jesus Christ and his death on the cross and resurrection. Again, no distinction was made between white and black. He died and rose for all people. Martin Luther King worked very hard to end discrimination and segregation within the United States. He led very peaceful, nonviolent protests, marches, in areas where black folks, African Americans, were treated very much as second-class citizens. Areas where they had to ride in the back of the bus for public transportation, or they could not eat at the same counters with Caucasian people. And through his efforts, a lot of that discrimination that was legal at the time and enforced has been done away. The efforts of Martin Luther King, who was assassinated very young, are commemorated here for his work that Christ would not have people segregated and treated as second-class citizens. Just a couple of years ago, we had riots in this city. The police department was shown to have some prejudice, and would treat African American citizens in particular unfairly when it came to law enforcement. So no, we're not there, but we're working on it.
All right, family, what's going on, family? What's up, y'all? We're live doing a special show. We're live right here this Saturday. And I don't want to just put it on St. Louis, because St. Louis has law enforcement and the prison officials. There's always a lot of corruption going on there. But just overall, when it comes to the prison system, it's a racialized torture system, if we want to just be very honest. There was a situation in New York. There was a brother who was held in New York in a prison on Rikers Island without being charged, and they were just going to hold him there. And that's the thing that they do now. They get people, put them in jail, don't actually charge them with anything. They can't afford bail, and they just draw out when they can go on trial. They had to prepare people psychologically for the big executions. And that's where we're leading right to right now. Basically giving people, the police, the green light to brutalize people,
Yes.
go against the Constitution and brutalize people. And they're just yelling and applauding there. And that type of mentality is, again, Nazism. I was born in Detroit and partially raised there, but I was also raised in Birmingham, Alabama, down in the South, where Martin Luther King marched and all of the civil rights movement. That was like the heart of it, is down there in Birmingham, Alabama. Racism against black people, it was more systematic. They incorporated it in the system. And I noticed that as a very young child in the school system. I noticed that black children, we were treated differently than the white children. The white kids would act out and do whatever, and they would just get barely a reprimand. But black kids who would do the same thing, they would get funneled into special education classes, they would get expelled. I've always, from that point, wanted to know the ins and outs of systematic racism. This was like in the early 70s when they started to take away the housing discrimination laws and made it that you have to rent houses and rent property and it has to be equal legally. There was a white flight, and that took all the money and the wealth and the resources out, and it just left a shell of the city, and the people were impoverished, and they blamed the poverty on the people. Blamed a lot of the ills of Detroit on just black people. It's just that black skin, just black people being in control, and that's going to turn the place into a ghetto. No, it was white flight. Especially in America, you don't have any protection at all. When you have the president of the United States encouraging law enforcement to brutalize people, that comes out on us. So we have zero protection. They can come and blow our brains out at any given time, and we can't really do anything. Actually, America is the only country in the world where you can kill people outside of war and legally get away with it. You can't kill nobody in no other country and get away with it. You can't do that in North Korea. You can't do it in Russia. You can't just go and kill somebody and then just walk away and get acquitted. How can you be the beacon of democracy? How can you be the gatekeeper of the world and you have that going on over there? I know the media out here will always try to call me a leader of Black Lives Matter, especially the people at Fox News. They're real good at telling that lie. I don't even consider myself a leader, because I'm in a prison where I can be harmed and I can't do anything about it yet. So I'm just another victim of white supremacy trying to figure out how to get up out of the prison of racism. Obama was just a tokenized black person. The white supremacists, they do magic tricks. They like to say, okay, we're gonna give you one black person and put that one black person in a high position, and now everything is equal. You have nothing to complain about. And putting one black person in a high position means absolutely nothing, because systematic white supremacy is a group phenomenon. So tokenizing one black person and saying, okay, he's the leader over here, he's the president, he's the governor, he's the mayor. They did that for a lot of black cities, by the way. In the 1970s, they made a lot of black people mayors of these cities, but they had no real power because they didn't have the power to allocate resources.
How y'all boys doing? Good. How you doing, bro? Y'all check out this car I got in. It's an old 62 Belvedere I just got in. Just that side. It's a factory push button car. Joe, you gonna come in here and sit down and eat? Majority white city, Detroit, Michigan. Eventually they started bringing the blacks in from the south. That's where all the cars were made at, the car factories, and now it is nothing but a war zone in Michigan. Memphis, Tennessee, the whole city council there is black. And when we went and protested against Memphis, we started looking into the city council for trying to remove the Confederate monuments. We looked into them. A majority of everybody on the city council in Memphis, Tennessee have criminal records of embezzlement, stealing money, being caught prostitutes, cocaine.
Still in office.
Yep, still in office. Cincinnati, Ohio. That's a horrible place. There's shootings up there on a daily basis, stabbings, rapings, killings.
Just any state major capital.
Yeah, just
truthfully.
Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States itself. Washington, D.C. is a war zone. And they will tell you in Washington, D.C., do not go out by yourself after 8 o'clock at night. You will get robbed, stabbed, or raped. See, that's our own capital. They tell you up there, do not go out
What
at
part
night.
of New York you think is the worst barriers?
Like Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta,
Bronx,
Georgia.
right?
Harlem, Bronx,
Harlem.
any of them are same things, robbings, rapes, murders every day. I mean, it happens pretty much anywhere where there's a city. There's public transportation where you can pop 75 cents in a bus. I mean, you're gonna find problems there.
Government wants to make it look like the whole United States, we're all peaceful, one happy race, one happy religion, and it's nothing like that. I mean, even though they've been pushing integration down our throats now for 50 years, we segregate ourselves.
Yep.
And the government's figuring that out. You know, the whites, you know, it's called white flight. When we see a neighborhood getting too dark, we actually just pack up and move.
Yep.
We want to send our kids to majority white schools. Like I tell people, segregation starts every Sunday in America. You can say that this place is integrated and we're all happy and peaceful, but every Sunday at 11 o'clock, that's when the world becomes segregated every day, and it's called the church. Because when everybody goes to church, we go to white churches, the blacks stay in their black churches, and the Mexicans stay in whatever Catholic. That's when segregation starts. The schools segregated, prisons segregated. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's the way it's always going to be.
You goddamn
You see my face real good? Let me lift my glasses up so you can see me real good. Because the only thing you can do is kill me. And you ain't gonna do no more blood.
Your time is up here.
I think that what Charlottesville showed me was that people really hate each other. Those alt-right white supremacists, they hate us and they want to kill us. What Charlottesville showed me was that these white supremacists, these alt-right folks, are full of hate and that they have weapons, like really huge guns, and they do tactical training, and they're ready. They want to hurt people. They came down there with weapons, and they're ready to fight. America needs to be born again. America needs a rebirth. We need to acknowledge our sins, our past. We need to repent, and we need to build a newer, better America without racism, without acting as if racism never existed.
A lot of black people in this area, they like to stick to what we call projects, which is free housing. Instead of going to work and paying their bills and taxes and stuff like that and supporting their family, they depend on free housing, which the government here actually gives them. And they give them what they call food stamps, where they feed their families, and they don't have to work. They even pay their lights and water bill for them. So the majority, I would say 95% that lives in the projects of this black community. They don't work and they sit there for money. They're selling drugs to the children, teenagers, you know, younger than my kids, getting them already addicted and ruining their lives. In a community, there's always a high crime rate of robbery, people's houses getting broken into, where they're kicking down the door. They're especially doing it to elderly white people, kicking their doors knowing that they can't defend themselves. Raping a lot of white women, and they're doing it even in public places. Like this black guy, like in his 20s, just runs up and beats the living hell out of this white woman and rapes her and leaves her there to die.
During the Jim Crow law era, they sat there and tried to say that, oh, well, these people are just as good as us, our equals. Well, y'all have had 55 years of trying to put yourself on a plane with the white man and still haven't achieved it. You're still out here robbing, stealing, raping, killing.
This is a known fascist tactic to target black and brown people who are showing up for their community, right?
Right.
We've seen this before.
Yep. We've seen it before.
So what are we gonna say to them? Being black is not a crime, right?
Right.
Being black is not a crime.
Same story every time. Being black is not a crime. Same story every time. Being black is not a crime. Same story every time. Being black is not a crime. Same story every time. Being black is not a crime.
I'm not saying that every black person in America does not try to do something with their life. The 10% is the older generation of black people that actually wanted to work and earned their house and proud of that. And plus, they don't like their kids mixed racing, which is going on, and they're disgusted by it. As for the new generations, they
have no morals. They just
they don't care if they achieve one day have a house. They don't care as long as they
they're
got
homeless.
5 what they call baby mamas, 5 women pregnant, and you know. They know that they're getting government checks. They don't care.
Yeah, that's it. It's the same here. I mean, the blacks here want to ride the system as much as they can. They don't want to do nothing. I mean, they actually originally from New York. They'll tell you the same thing's going on up there. I mean, they want to sit on Section 8 housing and not work. I mean, that's the thing. And the more babies they produce, the bigger their check gets. So, I mean, that's why you walk around in gas stations, grocery stores, they got 5, 10 kids lagging behind them. And 9 times out of 10, they got their kids dragging their kids along.
They're over here, they get all these benefits, free government benefits, don't have to pay shit for food, shelter, lights, water. Their kids, they even get checks for the kids half the time. And the thing of it is, they act like they're so depressed, like white people are
so
really
depressed.
White people are really keeping them down.
When people ask, do I suffer or do I have friends who suffer? In the system of white supremacy globally, it's a prison system, understand that. Under that system, there's different forms of suffering. We shouldn't be in the prison to begin with, but I've had friends who are railroaded into a jail system, I got friends who are doing life in jail over drug charges right now. I know people who are killed by law enforcement. I know people who were murdered and their murders were never solved. See, that's what happens with black people. When we die, there's no big outcry on who to punish. This is why we see so many people killed and murdered with complete impunity, because there's like an unwritten rule that if you are a person classified as white, if you have a good enough excuse, you can kill, harm, maim, or do anything to a black person.
The parents wasn't slaves, the grandparents wasn't slaves. They might have been slaves, like I said, over 152 years ago. Get over it, is the way I look at it, or leave.
A lot of these white supremacist groups are stuck in stupidity. You look at the civil rights movement, you look at the Black Panthers, you look at other groups that were comprised of black people fighting for rights. And the FBI, the CIA, COINTELPRO, they made it their business to to get in there and disrupt these groups. How is it that a group that has been savagely murdering black people for over 200 years in this country is still in existence?
The reason the Klan chose the color of white, it's supposed to represent purity, basically, purity of the white race, to keep the white race pure. The Klan's strength lies in secrecy, so we didn't want people to know who our members were, and that's one of the main reasons why they wear the hood, because you have members who are cops, you have members who are sheriffs, you have doctors, lawyers. Everybody was in the Klan. Proven fact is 1 out of 3 Americans was in the Klan. We've had presidents that was in the KKK, like Harry Truman, Warren G. Harding. We've had several presidents that was in the KKK. So yeah, it's an American tradition. Different stripes will be added to the robe for different ranks, different colors, like purple, that's what I am. I have a purple robe, which means I'm the leader, the Imperial Wizard. A green robe means Grand Dragon, which means he's over the state. A red robe, which is a Great Titan, means he's a Providence or county officer of the Klan. And then white robe just means regular member.
What we see here in America is hundreds of years of racism. And right now, Black Lives Matter, it's, white people, Latino people, Muslims, Christians, whoever, that feel the way that we feel. Gays are part of this fight. They feel the way that we feel and we fight. Racism is alive, but it's concealed. When did racism resurface in America in a real way? When a black man became president. No one wants us to come out of these shackles. There was a war fought when they wanted to pull us out of slavery. It was a war, right, on American soil because we were coming out of slavery. People don't want to see us thrive. You live in poverty. You live in these destitute situations. You're hurting, you're in pain. And now we have this thing called gentrification where there are white folks and other young professionals coming in and pushing poor people out of their ghetto, right? Gentrification is racism. They're pushing us out of our communities. Landlords are raising the rents up, and they can't do anything about it. We can, right? Because we're fighting them. We're teaching them how to fight back. There are a lot of groups that we work with to do this type of work. But look at what's happening. Like, no one gives a about poor people until when? Until they're fighting for themselves.
Just 30 minutes up the road, at least 3 people die between Saturday night and Sunday night. 3 people die every night through drug violence and gang violence of blacks just shooting each other because
Or killing white people?
Yeah, or killing white people. I mean, that's every weekend. At least 3 to 4 people die 30 minutes up the road, and it's clockwork. The cops already know that's happening. It's pretty much just a war on the streets every day.
But the media, they don't put it
The
out.
media covers it up. They want the world to
What it
think that this is
what's going
peaceful America, the great United States. No, this is a concrete jungle, and it's a war here all the time.
The government and the media really wants white people and brainwash white people, even in school, and the kids now to feel bad and not to be proud of being white. It's a sin and a crime here to thank God that you're white and I have white kids and a white husband. A race mixer with everything else. Then, I mean, it's just, America is totally screwed up.
The bad thing about America, too, is through the media, they make it look to the world. America tries to put on a show. I mean, that's what it is. It's a puppet show. That's what America does through their television and their media. They try to make it look like it's all peaceful here in the United States. This is a great place to live. No, we're actually in a communist nation right now. We can't even have freedom of speech here. If you're white, you ain't got no freedom of speech here. Your beliefs pretty much have to be kept inside the house because they'll come take your kids away from you. They will. If they find out what I believe in, that I'm a Klansman, they'll try to take my kids from me. And all I want to do is live separate from all the other races. I'd rather be around my own kind. That's all I want, just like God intended. I hope and pray for a racial war where it's no holds barred and we can just go on and either annihilate these people or they can go on back to their country. That's what I would like to see, is a race war.
The KKK exists because America wants it to exist. They are the biggest terrorist group to ever operate in this country, okay? And they're to me, they're worse off than the people who destroyed the World Trade Centers. They're worse off than people who go and shoot nightclubs full of innocent gay people up. The KKK is the worst terrorist organization because the American government allows them to exist. And that's the problem. They need to destroy and disband the KKK.
Klansmen, halt for God, for race, for nation, for the Ku Klux Klan. Klansmen, step in and light the cross. Behold the fiery cross, still brilliant. All the troubled history failed to quench its hallowed flame. It shall burn bright as morning for all decades, to be held by the hearts and hands of all Klansmen. It shall be light lit from sea to sea. In the fiery cross we glory beneath its sacred glow. My oath was made under this cross. It shall ever live in song and story. I swear its light shall never fade. God give us men, tall sun-crowned men, who will not flinch at duty, and who will not lie, and who will uphold the fight for white supremacy. White power! White power! White power! White power! White power! White power!